Hello, this is Hope Roski with Briggs on Books, and today I have author Fred Wiehe on the show. Fred, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Hub. It's
Oh,
great to be here.
well, it's great to have you on, Fred. So, tell the viewers a little bit about how you got into writing. I'm always fascinated with authors. It's like, what drew them into writing?
Okay. Well, I have been at this for quite a while. My first published novel was in 1997. But, I wrote three novels before that that never saw the light of day. And I think that's pretty typical. As you practice your craft, the first novel or two maybe don't go anywhere. But the third one hit. Um, but how I got started was in college. I just needed a fun class to take, to get a break. I majored in history and I needed a break and I needed a fun class to take. So I took a creative writing class and I got bit by the bug. Uh, I just fell in love with it and I started writing just for myself, um, just little things, short stories, one or two novels. And then I decided that and I wrote more nonsensical kind of stuff, kind of like Kurt Vonnegut, Richard Brautigan kind of stuff, trying to find my voice. I was really into them at the time. Um, and then I read Watchers by Dean Koontz, and I said to myself, "That's what I want to do. I want to scare people." Um, and so it kind of took off from there. And like I said, my third novel did get published by a Canadian publisher. It's called Starkville. It's still out there in some form. That was in 1997. I think I brought it back with another self-publishing thing, iUniverse in 2000. Um, and it's still sitting there. It's still available. You can buy it on Amazon and other places and that. But I've had a lot of novels and books since then. I think
That
I've lost count, 13 or 14 now.
Fabulous. Well, which one would you say, because you have such a selection, do you have one that you are drawn to the most? And if so, which one and why?
Well, that would probably be The Collected Nightmares. Um, it's a collection of short stories. I think there's 12 short stories, two novellas, and 17 poems.
Oh,
I wrote that. I started writing it before the accident, but I had an accident back in 2013. I was bucked off a
oh,
horse,
my goodness.
threw me 8 feet in the air, came down on my back and head, um, had multiple injuries, broken ribs, collapsed lung, amnesia, concussion, broke broken wrist, ruptured tendon in my thumb. Um, if I would have I was told that I missed the round pen fence with my head by just inches. If I would
Oh,
have hit
my
that, I probably
goodness.
would have died or ended up like Christopher Reeves. Um, and it was a long battle back. It was like a two
Sure.
year um, process of getting my health back. And during that time, got back into the Collected Nightmares and started writing it. So a lot of the stories in there are not based on my recovery, but is inspired or motivated by recovery. It's a
It's
lot darker
interesting
than
that,
some of my other stuff
right, but what's
because that's where my head was at. I was in a dark place,
sure.
recovering and in a lot of pain. So that one's very personal.
Right, and I was going to say, for somebody who is drawn to writing horror stories, I mean, that is a real life horror experience. I mean,
Oh
for
yeah,
you. And
uh,
that you
it
probably,
was.
did you take some of that horror that you had and that feeling of fright and then transferred into some of your other writings down the road?
Yeah, it crops. It still crops back up into some stories.
Mm-hmm.
You know, uh, yeah, I like to connect into that dark place that I was at the time, and
Sure.
the the pain that I was going through during that recovery process. Um, I still have problems. I still have like pain in places like in my ribs and stuff
Sure.
that have never really gone away.
Well, in some
So
ways, it
it's easy to
seems.
connect back into and go to that dark place. And you know, things about that day and about the recovery process and that seem to crop up in some stories sometimes. I get
Right.
back into it and use it as motivation or inspiration.
Well, in some aspects, it seems somewhat cathartic to a degree that it just,
Oh, very.
just to be able to release some of that, for you, and then, to the people who are reading, being able to, I mean, really sense that real life experience that you encountered as well. So, I mean, moving forward from that experience, and I thank you for sharing that because that was just an eye opener, but it also takes into effect in some of your writing and where it's going. So let's talk about your latest book that you have out right now. Can you tell the viewers a little bit about that, please?
Yeah, that one is called Stories That Haunt the Mind and Soul. Um, Paranormal horror. There's 13 uh, short stories in it, um, all with some kind of supernatural thing. There's actually one with an alien, a UFO alien.
Mm-hmm.
There's ghosts and one with a werewolf and paranormal activity. Um, all very supernatural. I would say they're dark, but there's some lighter ones too. Um, I'm trying to remember some of the titles. Hold on. I've got it
Okay.
right here. My mummy was holding on to it
Your
for
mummy
me.
was holding on to it. It's almost
Uh,
Mummy's Day, too.
yeah,
No, that was a bad joke.
he's my assistant. Like Showdown at the Old Emery is a little lighter. It's about a demon who has come to this old movie theater to collect a soul. Only the old man dies, and the demon is so into the movie that he's watching that his soul he doesn't collect it. The soul goes on to heaven. And now he has to hang around and try to collect another soul to take his place, or he can't go back to
Mm.
hell. So he's been around a long time, and he's been waiting for the man's wife to die so he could take her soul. And she at some point notices him out of the corner of her eye, and so she starts hunting him. So now it's an adversarial thing between the two going on in this old theater. He's been stalking her. She's now hunting him, and it goes off from there.
Wow. So that does seem fascinating. It seems like it's going to have a very good climax to the story there. So, in talking about it, it seems like you have some interesting characters. Do you have a character that you have repeatedly used? And if so, which character? Um, and why do you like that character so much?
Ah, that's a good question. Well, I have a character that I've used twice. Um, his name is Alaric. So he actually, Alaric Monster Hunter was my first bestseller
Hmm.
back in 2011, 2012, something like that. Um, he is a 200-year-old gypsy that hunts monsters for bounty. And he has a secret to why he can be 200 years old. Um, and there's a lot of gypsy lore and legend in it. It's my kind of my homage to old time horror. There's zombies, werewolves, vampires, um, a mad scientist that is kind of like a Dr. Jekyll, Mr. Hyde kind of character.
Mm-hmm.
Um, that all comes together. He usually has to hunt and kill and exterminate monsters, but a zombie shows up at his door one day in San Francisco, knocks on the door, and hands him his own business card. It's a zombie that can still think and still communicate somewhat, and the zombie's a gypsy. So now he needs to find out why this zombie is different, and he starts investigating it and finding other zombies that are under the same circumstances. Now I've used him. I love this character because he came to me in a dream, uh, and I've used him again. He's there's actually a novella in the Collected Nightmares that is a sequel to Alaric Monster Hunter. Although you can read it as a standalone, you don't need to read the novel first. But so he shows up again in the Collected Nightmares in a novella. Um, he came to me. My wife came home one day. She and my youngest son, I can't remember where they were, but they saw this old World War I monument uh, to soldiers that had died in World War I, and they found this name, Alaric, on it. I can't remember if there was a last name or if they even told me the last name. And my wife said, "Here, we found a really good name for you for a character in a story, Alaric." And I went, "Yeah, that is a good name, but what am I supposed to do with it?" And she goes, "Well, you're the writer. I gave you the name.
Come up with something, right?
It's up to you to come up with the story,
Yes.
right? And the character." Um, you know, and then a few days later, I woke up, I had this dream about Alaric. And I woke up and I went, okay, I've got my story. I've got my character and I've got my story. And it went off from there. So um, I really like this guy. He's kind of an anti-hero, kind of along the lines of, I'll go way back because I'm old to Clint Eastwood and his spaghetti westerns
Yes.
that he
Okay.
did, kind of that anti-hero,
Mm-hmm.
where he's not all good. He walks the line between good and evil,
Right.
but he's better than the monsters that he hunts.
Right. Of course.
You know, so
Sure.
and he'll do anything to protect his friends, his family, his loved ones, and the gypsy community. And if he has to cross that line from good to evil to do it, he will.
Wow. What's interesting is when you said the name Alaric, it brought me back to when I used to teach, and I had a student with that first name. So it just, you don't hear that
Wow.
name very often, but it's a great, it is a great name for a book too. So I just want to go back and pop up your book again. Now, again,
Yeah.
you probably, like you said, you have about 13, 14 books. How are people able best to order the book that you just wrote? The
They
Story
can.
Through the Mind and Soul.
It's all over on. You can basically get it wherever books are sold. If there's a bookstore in your community that doesn't have it, just ask them to order it.
Okay.
But if you go to my website, fredwiehe.com, I have all the online stores. I have each book that has a summary, reviews, and then links to where you can buy it: Amazon, Barnes and Noble, Books a Million, Smashwords.
Sure.
They're all basically available in ebook, paperback, or hardcover form. Some in all. My newest one is out in paperback, but the publisher is saying that he wants to bring it out soon in hardcover
Oh, great.
and in audiobook form. So it should be available sometime this year in those two forms, as well as ebook and
And
paperback.
Okay, great. Well, Fred, it has just been a pleasure talking with you today, and I learned so much about you, and I think the viewers did too. You have had quite the journey, and it's so fascinating to see how you have integrated that in with your writing style.
Oh, thank you.
Oh, you bet. This is Hope Roski with Briggs on Books. And again, if you're interested in ordering any of Fred's books, please go to fredwiehe.com. Thank you.
And just so people
yes,
know, my last name is spelled Wiehe,
there you go.
and it all runs together. Don't spell it Weehee like
Right,
it sounds
right.
phonetically. It's Wiehe.
W-I-E, that's right, H-E. All right,
Yeah.
Fred, thank you so much. Have a great day. And again, this is Hope Roski with Briggs on Books.
Thank you, Hope.
Thank you.